Yes, people, Merry Christmas. Welcome back to Talking Wolves for a brand new match preview on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. Such a strange one, this isn't it? Wolves playing Chelsea on Christmas Eve at Molineux. For me, I'm looking forward to it. I know obviously there's been a lot of controversy about this fixture, but I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a really intriguing game and quite an interesting spectacle, obviously, with it being just the day before Christmas. Hope you guys, though, are keeping well, enjoying the festive period so far. And I'd like to kick off by saying, obviously, thank you so much for your support this year. Obviously, there's going to be plenty more videos coming out before New Year, but I want to take this opportunity as it may be the last video you catch before Christmas Day. So I really do appreciate it. But yeah, Chelsea coming to Molineux this weekend. Wolves need to try and bounce back. I've said it a couple of weeks ago that, you know, it would be quite important for Wolves to get points on the board before Christmas, really, because we want to be getting into a position, you know, by the halfway point that we can start to look up the table, and by February, March, not really have to look over our shoulder. And the last few weeks of results, obviously, loss against Arsenal would have been expected. Getting that win against Burnley, which is great and proving to be quite important now, and then dropping the points against Forest and a really poor performance then against West Ham as well. It's quite crucial that Wolves continue their strong home form, and they're coming up against a team in Chelsea which just so inconsistent at the moment. You don't really know what to expect from Mauricio Pochettino's side. You know, they've got some great results and they've got some really frustrating results. And Wolves have sort of been the same. You know, if we do beat them on Christmas Eve, we go level on points with them. So that's how frustrating the season has been for them. But I think they can accept, well, we'll know in the away perspective later on. I think some fans can accept for them it's a bit of a transitional season. But it'd be great for Wolves to get a win on the board before Christmas, you know, and I think it would make a lot of our Christmases. And it's a tough run of fixtures going into the new year as well. You know, we play Brentford away, then Everton at home, and on paper you'd hope that we could get something out of that game. But Everton are on really decent form right now, so it's an interesting one. I think Chelsea got so much talent in that team. I've just seen today, last night it was reported that Enzo Fernandez is not going to be part of their team. He's out injured, which I think will be a big bonus for Wolves. But they have got players coming back, and Kunku, who I think is a fantastic little player, coming back and may well feature. But team news for Wolves as well. Gary O'Neill did his press conference on Thursday. I've been meaning to get this preview out sooner, but just been hectic. As you can see, it's Saturday morning now. I've just got out the shower. My hair's all over the place. But Gary O'Neill did do his press conference on Thursday. And some good news for Wolves in regards to availability. Jose Sarr, he's back in training and should be fit to play against Chelsea. You would expect him to come straight back in. I know people have been wanting Daniel Bentley to start. Obviously kept a clean sheet against Burnley. I think fans were left frustrated with his performance last weekend against West Ham United. Big news as well is that Pedro Neto should be back in the squad. I don't think he'll start the game tomorrow, but I think he'll be part of that squad, and hopefully we see him get 20 to 30 minutes and be a real big boost to Wolves. Of course, another big boost is Hwang Hee-chan. He signed a new deal at the club as well. Been a little bit quieter over the last couple of weeks, Hwang. So hopefully this contract gives him a big boost and he can give us a Christmas present and score a goal or two against Chelsea this weekend. And Joe Hodges is said to be back in training as well, but I'd be surprised to see him in the squad, if I'm perfectly honest. And I think a low move for him will probably be lined up sooner rather than later. But Wolves have got pretty much a full-strength squad as such now, close to being available. Let's look at my predicted lineup anyway for this game. For me, obviously, Jose Sarr to come back in. Dan Bentley's performance, like I said earlier, was a little bit frustrating. If he's fit, I think Ryan Aït-Nouri's got to start. We really missed him and Neto. So for me, Aït-Nouri's got to play. Back three again of Totti, Dawson and Kilman. Semedo in there as well. Now, the back three is an interesting one. I think for me, Totti, again, another poor game. I think that's 2 on the bounce for him after I give him a lot of praise, mainly on the podcast. But, Totti keeping his place. But Santiago Bueno must not be far away from potentially getting a start. Maybe we see him with the busy run of fiction. Maybe we see him getting a chance against Chelsea. Midfield 2, again, of Lamina and João Gomez. And then the front three of Hwang Hee-chan, Matheus Cunha, and I've gone with Sarabia. But again, Bellegarde could get the nod. But there's been a lot of performances there that for me, have been a little bit underwhelming. I think João Gomez a little bit underwhelming last weekend. Although then I look at his stats in terms of winning the ball back, and they're up there with some of the best in Europe. Sarabia and Bellegarde, I think we are really missing Neto. I think that spot is Neto can walk straight back into there when he's fully fit. And hopefully we see, some players maybe over the next week or so closely, rumoured with joining the club. I think it was Christmas Day last year, Matheus Cunha was announced. I think in terms of suspensions as well, Hwang Hee-chan is one booking away for potentially missing a game. So if he does get booked against Chelsea, he'll miss that game against Brentford. But yeah, plenty of positives to look into this game. But Wolves obviously will be hoping to bounce back after a few dull results. We've had almost a week to sort of recover from that West Ham defeat. Hopefully Gary O'Neill's working on things and worked on things to help us improve and beat Chelsea. But we've got the opposition preview now. I spoke to Charlie from the Blue Brother YouTube page to hear his thoughts ahead of this Christmas Eve fixture. So then, guys, delighted to be alongside Charlie from the Blue Brother YouTube channel. Charlie, thanks for jumping on the channel once again, mate. How are you keeping?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, mate. Pleasure as always. Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Football's not going great for us, but a big boost in on Tuesday night to get through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, and then a favourable draw against Middlesbrough, and you'd have to fancy us making a final. So it's a little bit of an up there. But yeah, all good otherwise, mate. Just never know what to expect from my team at the moment, which is not a great position to be in.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say before we started recording, I was sort of looking at the league table, and I know Chelsea probably haven't been at the level their fans would expect, and that obviously the owner would have expected. But I'm just surprised at the amount of games that you have dropped points in, and obviously you're a lot closer to sort of us and the Bournemouths than the sort of top 4, top 5, which Pochettino probably would have wanted to be. Approaching this halfway point, how can you sort of summarise how Chelsea started this season, how the fans are feeling after the first 17 Premier League games?
It's difficult, mate, because I think there was a lot of expectation going into this season. I know last season we had a terrible season, but I think the worst in the club's history in terms of amount of points we recorded and whatnot. And then we basically overturned the whole squad pretty much. And we went down a different recruitment strategy. We brought in a load of younger players, not experienced, and hope that they reach their potential sort of thing. And I think the story of the season just been a massive inconsistency. You see games like Man City where, we played very, very, at least we didn't win, but we played very well. We came back from behind, I think, 3 times against them. Not many teams do that. I know you boys beat them, but you know what I mean? Not many teams come from behind that often against Man City. We beat Tottenham 4-1. No one expected us to go there. Yes, of course, a couple of red cards helped us out, but we still got the result there. Sure. Arsenal, I know we didn't win, but we played great stuff and we should have won that game. But then you get games like Man United away where we just don't turn up. You get games like Everton where there was nothing there either. So I think just inconsistencies. And look, we're Carabao Cup semi-final, which that's great for us because we're only playing for 2 trophies this season. That one and the FA Cup. So for me, Carabao Cup, important trophy. I know a lot of people don't think it is, but I think it's massive for us, particularly this season. But 10th in the league, I think that's where we are. I've stopped looking at the table too much recently because it's been a bit depressing. But yeah, look, we should be doing better. That's the reality. But it's not just down to a managerial problem. Yes, there's certain things that I think Poch can do better at times, and I've criticised him for that. But I think it runs a lot deeper than just being a manager problem. I think, I don't want to use injuries as an excuse, but we've consistently from the start of the season had 10 or 12 players out like pretty much every week. And these are like key players as well. Literally, Nkunku just come back Tuesday night, played 20 minutes, first appearance for the club. Lavia's still not fit. We've got Reece James out. We've had Chilwell out for large parts of the season. We've got a lot of players out most weeks and key ones at that. But just lacking consistency, as you'd expect from a young side. And look, we're disappointed to be 10th, absolutely. But I think there also has to be a realisation that, the Chelsea of old doesn't exist anymore. And we have to accept that there probably are going to be maybe 1 or 2 seasons of difficulties before we start to rise back up again. But I probably would have taken that if you said we win everything over a 20-year period, but then you'd be crap for 2 seasons. You take it, but then when it happens, you don't really like it. So I would say, mate, inconsistent is probably the one word that sums us up. And it's frustrating because you watch, you think, how good can we be in certain games and how can we be so bad in other ones?
Yeah, no, that's the word I would use, inconsistent. I mean, like I said earlier, looking at the results, sort of some great results and then some frustrating ones as well. I mean, good for you guys in the cup as well. Obviously, a lot of drama, go to the penalty shootout, but that could be a big boost for morale as well. Just looking at some of the stats, I mean, Wolves at Molineux this season we've done quite well, but against Chelsea over the last couple of seasons we've done all right as well. I think the last three games at Molineux between the two teams, Wolves have won 2 and there's been 1 draw as well. So we're okay at Molineux at the moment, and hopefully we can continue our strong home form. What's the stance though, Charlie, on Poch at the moment? Because you do see, especially with bigger clubs like Chelsea, you know, if things aren't going quite to plan, you know, especially the owner that you've got at the moment, you know, with a lot of money, he can chop and change. We saw Abramovich do it quite often. But what's the sort of stance from the fans at the moment? Is it to stick with him, or are there many shouts to try and get rid of him yet?
I think there's been, look, I think, you know, there are some people that don't like him and think he should go. Look, it's definitely a minority at this point in time, not a majority for sure. But as I was saying before, it's more than a managerial thing. You know, I think with the recruitment side of things, yes, I was excited by it in the summer, but when you look at it and what the sporting directors have put together as a squad, you think, well, these guys have completely misunderstood what it takes to be competitive in the Premier League from a squad. And you know, there's probably a reason why you've not seen anyone put together a squad like this before in the Premier League, because the chances are it probably doesn't work, or it takes a couple of years for it to work. Normally, you know, you want, you know, 7 or 8 experienced pros with quality, and then you sort of bed in 2 or 3 youngsters in and amongst them. We've gone with the complete opposite approach, and you know, there's no wonder we're inconsistent. Yes, you know, certain tactical things have been poor. I haven't liked seeing Levi Cole at left back. I just don't think that works. I know recently we've had to because we've got no fit left backs, but and other things like, you know, he's deploying Enzo Fernandez as a number 10 at the start of the season instead of having him deeper. We switched it, and it obviously made a big difference. Things like Ben Chilwell left wing at the start of the season, like in-game management had been poor in certain games. Well, there's things that he needs to improve on, but I think from my point of view and a lot of fans' point of view is that, like, this is a new project. This is a different Chelsea. And if we keep chopping and changing the manager, which we're trying to move away from and have something more longer term and more sustainable, then we have to kind of accept to a degree there's going to be some shit results along the way. But to caveat that, we can't just use the project and hide behind the project when we get bad results. There has to be decent results, and there also has to be, even if we're not picking up decent results, there has to be something within those games where we see, actually, you know, you can see what we're doing and there is progress despite, you know, the results perhaps not reflecting that. At times we've seen that, at times we haven't, but I think he's the right man for the job, if I'm being honest, because I look at the amount of youngsters in the squad and stuff, and I think, well, what manager out there right now that would realistically come to Chelsea in its current situation would do much better than him, or would be better suited to working with a squad full of young players? And I personally say that there's probably not many better than him. He just needs, I know it's kind of a bit cliche in football, he just needs some time.
Yeah, it's trying to almost get that middle ground as well. And sort of, as fans, sometimes we are quite reactionary. We do react, you know, to you know, depending on the result on Sunday, Wolves fans will say one thing or another. If we beat Chelsea, it's like, hold on, we can maybe push for Europe. And if we lose to Chelsea, it'll be Gary O'Neill out again. I mean, we've had that quite a lot this season. I think if you sit back and say, right, well, Gary O'Neill joined about 4 days before the season, didn't get a pre-season. This was a team tipped to struggle anyway. You know, I think he's doing an okay job, and I'm sure Poch is in the same boat. A couple of players, obviously, I mean, you mentioned one earlier, and Nkunku's been injured for the majority of the season. I remember catching quite a few highlights of Chelsea pre-season, and he looked really, really decent. He was actually in my fantasy Premier League before the season kicked off. I mean, that's going to be a huge boost for you guys to see him back. Not sure if he'll start on Sunday, but is there anybody else that you think is likely to start that has been solid for Chelsea so far this season?
Yeah, look, obviously, Nkunku, a huge lift to have him back. I don't think he'll start either. Or he's played 20 minutes of football since the start of August or end of July. The way we're going at the moment, with how cautious we're being bringing players back, I wouldn't expect him to start. I'd expect him to maybe get half an hour or something like that. Yeah. In terms of players that will start, I think Mykhailo Mudrik's one of those guys that is coming into a bit of form now. Yes, he's still raw and he's rough around the edges, and you never quite know what you're going to get from him. But he's one of them players that gets you off your seat, and you know, he can be frustrating to a degree because, you know, if he gets like 3 or 4 situations, he'll probably mess 3 of them up. But on the 4th one, he'll do something that might win you the game. He's kind of one of those players. With his pace as well, he's got good ability on the ball. I really like him. I believe in him, but you know, he still needs to improve. You know, his decision making's not all there quite yet, but he's a dangerous player for us 100%. Cole Palmer's the obvious one. He's had a fantastic start to life at Chelsea. Everything we do well seems to involve him or go through him to a degree. So I would probably say that Mudryk and Palmer are the ones to look out for. Probably more Palmer's more likely to start than Mudryk, because I think Mudryk could well start, but Palmer's definitely going to start. So I'd probably say those two. And then I suppose you look at in midfield, Conor Gallagher's having an exceptional season. I know he's not really like a player to watch out for in terms of being a threat in the final third, but in terms of, pressing from the front, in terms of winning the ball back in midfield, all those sort of things, he could be, he's going to make it tough in that midfield battle. But for me, Cole Palmer and Mykhailo Mudryk for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Cole Palmer. I think that's a cracking signing by Chelsea. I was surprised. Obviously, I understand how Man City are trying to operate at the moment, but I thought for Chelsea long term, that'd be a great signing. Mudryk as well. I memean, similar to what you were saying there, we almost had a similar sort of thing with Adama Traore. Would get you off your seats, but like you said, give him 4 or 5 opportunities. He probably only make good out of one of them. But no, I think again, a very young player, quite raw, can come good. Is there anyone from the Wolves end, Charlie, that going into this game is going to worry you at Molineux?
Do you know what, mate? I really like Pedro Neto. I don't know if he's fit or not. I can't remember if he's back or not. I know he was injured, but I haven't really I haven't looked too closely into the Wolves team news recently. But if he's available to play, then yeah, he's one that I really like. I think he's a top player. I think Cunha's having a really good season, coming into some really good form. I like him, and the Korean lad as well. I can't forgotten his name. He's doing. I think he's a threat. And do you know what? I know he doesn't play every week. He doesn't start that often. I think Sarabia is a great player as well. So I'd say those 3, and then obviously Sarabia from the bench could be a problem as well. But Lemina in midfield's not bad either. Look, you've got threats over the pitch 100%, and players that are in decent form as well.
Yeah, I mean, Neto, I'm waiting for the press conference, but Gary O'Neill said last week he should be available, but it might be a similar situation to Nkunku. He's not played a number of weeks, so I don't think he'll start, or if he does, I don't think he'll play the full 90 at least. But I mean, he's been out since end of October and still got the most assists in the Premier League, so that's how well he started the season, Neto. So I mean, if he can come back and produce those sort of performances again, that'd be a huge bonus for us. But Charlie, going into Sunday's game, what are you expecting? And can I get a prediction off you as well?
Mate, I'm expecting a tough game tonight. As you said, I don't think we've won at Molineux since Frank Lampard's first season in charge of Chelsea as a manager. I think that's when Tammy Abraham scored a hat-trick or something. And Tomori scored. That was the one. We haven't won since then. I think we had a 0-0. Then we lost 2-1, I think. And then last year, obviously, Lampard's first game in charge of that interim spell, we lost 1-0 as well, and we played terribly. I think Nunes scored a pretty decent goal. Mate, this is going to be tough. Away games in the Premier League are difficult. We haven't got the best record at Wolves. Molineux, the crowd will be up for it. I don't know how full it will be given it's Christmas Eve. I don't know if that's going to have an impact or not, but this will be a tough game, mate. Look, I'd like to say we're going to win, but I'll be honest, I'd probably say it's more likely to be a draw. I'd maybe go with something like a 1-1. We're going to have to be up. We're going to have to be on it. We're going to have to be defensively solid. We need to make sure we're not making individual errors, because we've made quite a lot of those in recent games. We do let goals in. Yes, we had a clean sheet against Sheffield United, but that's not saying much. Other than that, we are letting in at least one minimum per game, usually from individual mistakes. If you can, put crosses into the box, take advantage from set pieces. We have conceded a lot from those kind of situations this season. Midfield battle's always key. But mate, I think this is a tough match. I'll be honest. I don't feel confident that we'll win. So I'll say 1-1. But I mean, I can't rule out Wolves winning either.
Yeah, I mean, I think 1-1 or a goal either side, maybe a 2-1 either side would probably be not a bad shout, really. I mean, I've not asked you, Charlie, as well in regards. It's quite a rarity because this game is on Christmas Eve. I'd assume Chelsea fans are a bit more upset about this because obviously the travelling aspect of it. But what were your thoughts on it when this got announced that it's going to be played on the 24th?
Yeah, I'll be honest, mate. I'm not happy about it. I'm going up because it's a lunchtime, so it's not a disaster. But yeah, look, in terms of in general, a lot of fans won't go because of that. There's not been Christmas Eve football for well over 20 years.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And then it's an even stranger one. I'm not saying that Wolves Chelsea is not a decent game, but when's Wolves Chelsea ever been a TV game? Certainly not in recent years. It hasn't been a TV game. If Lampard's first game back in charge as interim manager, at Molineux last season, if that wasn't a TV game, then when was Wolves Chelsea going to be a TV game? So I'm not happy about it particularly. I don't think it makes sense. It's purely money driven, so they can get a game on Sky. It just makes life difficult for fans. Obviously, more difficult for the away fans, but I imagine also difficult for the home fans as well, just because of Christmas plans and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's something that I don't want to see again. But if we're being honest, mate, it's gonna keep happening. Because of how much money's in the game, because of how much power the broadcasters and stuff have. So yeah, not an ideal situation, but I think ultimately, despite the supporters' trust from both clubs, putting out strong statements against it, once it was done, mate, it was done, and nothing was going to change. So I think we're just going to have to get used to it.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll see the figures. I think TE figures they'll do quite well out of it, and I think that's all the Premier League and whoever will look at. And it's one of those. I mean, I'm not too fussed about it, but like I said, because I'm local, it's quite easy for me. But I can fully appreciate fans that live further afield, or even the away fans. It would be, if it was Chelsea away, I think I'd be a lot more upset about it. But it is what it is. But Charlie, thanks for jumping on the channel, mate. We're going to be doing a video over on Charlie's channel as well. If you want to let the people know what they can find on your channel, Charlie.
Yeah, mate. So just Blue Brother CFC, literally just kind of all Chelsea stuff. So like match vlogs, previews, news, transfer stuff, opposition reviews, all that sort of thing. I'm over on Chelsea Fan TV as well, doing kind of match day content there and other bits and pieces. So those are the two places that you can find me.
Brilliant. I'll make sure I leave a link to all of that in the description down below, guys. And Charlie, after Sunday, Merry Christmas and all the best for the rest of the season.
No, I appreciate it, mate. You too. Thanks for having me on.
Buddy. So big thanks to Charlie. I'll make sure I leave a link to him and his YouTube channel in the description down below. I think it'll be a close game, guys. I said a 1-1. I think I'd take a 1-1 to be fair, or a 2-1 either way. A win would be fantastic. To go into Christmas with another 3 points on the board would be great for us. We've done okay against Chelsea over the last couple of weeks as well. Last couple of seasons, sorry. So fingers crossed it's a nice little Christmas gift for us Wolves fans. Guys, if you're going down to Molineux, please do, enjoy it. Stay safe over the Christmas. Enjoy it with your friends and family. And obviously, have a drink. Enjoy your Christmas dinner if you're into that thing. And like I said earlier on, I do appreciate the support. Apologies if I look a bit tired. It's been hectic. Early morning record for you guys. But be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the rest of your festive period. And I'll catch you all very, very soon.